I'm Chef Lynn. Welcome to the Flavor Secrets Kitchen. Today we're going to be talking about the secrets of making Hollandaise sauce. And with me today is my good friend, Karen Rook. Welcome, Karen.
Thank you. I'm very excited to learn how to make Hollandaise sauce. I've tried probably 3 or 4 times to make Hollandaise sauce when making eggs Benedict and been a complete and utter failure, and just had a saucepoonful of eggs and butter and had to throw it away.
Well, I think a lot of people feel that way about Hollandaise sauce, so you're definitely not alone. There are some little tricks to making it, and I'm going to show you how to make it come out perfectly every single time. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is to turn on the heat below a very small frying pan. And I've got a little bit of chopped shallot here. I'm going to take about a knifeful of it and throw it into the pan. And just let it simmer there in the hot pan with no oil or anything for just a few seconds, okay? Just to soften it up a little bit. I only used, as you can see, maybe a half of a clove. This is a shallot, and this is just one piece of it. A shallot has 2 bulbs inside of it. Okay, now I'm going to throw in 1/8 of a cup of white wine vinegar. I also really like to use champagne vinegar for this because it's nice and light and it makes a really good Hollandaise sauce. And 1/2 a cup of some kind of a white wine. Now I've got this on absolutely high heat because what I want is for this to become what we call au sec, A-U-S-E-C. It's 2 words, and that's French for dry. In other words, I want the liquid to completely go away. You can come in a little closer there.
That will then soften the shallot.
Right. I say shallot, you say shallot. I say tomato, you say tomato. Okay, so you can see it's almost immediately boiling. And back to the wine for 1 second though, I wanted to show you this because this is a nice little Michigan wine that I like to use when I'm making sauces or cooking because it's very fruity and has a nice mild taste that doesn't come through too heavily into different dishes. When you're cooking, you don't want to use a Chardonnay or something like that. Also in this mixture, I'm going to put about 9 peppercorns. And I've chosen white peppercorns because Hollandaise sauce is a light sauce, and if you put dark peppercorns in there, sometimes it doesn't look very good. It might look like, people might think they have dirt in their food, or I always like to say in cooking class, looks like little mouse turds in your sauce. But anyway, I'm just going to crush those a little bit, the white peppers, and throw them in there too. The purpose of doing this is to give a little bit of flavor to your Hollandaise sauce. So we'll just put that all in there, and that takes a couple minutes for it to boil away. So in the meantime, I'll talk about the rest of the ingredients that go into Hollandaise sauce. It's basically melted butter. Here I have a pound of melted butter. Now remember, you'll only eat just a little bit of it. Or after watching this, you may never eat it again. I'm not sure, but a pound of melted butter, and I did melt this butter slowly. I got in trouble the other day for talking too much to a guest, and we forgot the pizza on the stove and it burned. So how about if you keep an eye on that? That'll be your responsibility.
Try. But you know, it's a disaster for me, Hollandaise sauce, but I'll try.
Okay, well, just keep an eye on it so that it doesn't boil away, because if it boils completely away, then the shallot will burn. Don't ask me how I know that. That's one of the things you learn, is to really keep an eye on that frying pan. Okay, so back to the ingredients. I've got a pound of melted butter, and I haven't skimmed anything off. I haven't made it clarified butter. I've got all the butter here. The milk solids are foaming on the top, and I've got the yellow butter underneath, but we'll use it all. I've got also 6 egg yolks only, so I cracked the eggs and split those and just saved the egg yolk. And tomorrow morning someone will get an egg white omelet for breakfast. Never throw anything away. Then, as I said, we used 1/8 of a cup of white wine vinegar in this mixture here, and 1/2 a cup of a fruity white wine. Make sure you use white wine or your Hollandaise sauce will look like gray and not be attractive at all. Okay, and then for later I have some flavorings for the sauce. We'll put just a little bit of salt in it. We'll put a little bit more of the white pepper that we grind freshly at the end, and then a little bit of lemon juice, okay? So I can take a second and just cut this lemon juice in half. Go ahead and squeeze it. This is the way I like to do it. It's quick and easy and keeps you from getting any seeds. I like to just use a little sieve like that and squeeze my lemon into here and then I don't get any seeds. How are you doing over there with your pot watching?
I'd forgotten to watch the pot. It's doing fine, thank you.
And see, every time I look away, I do something like drop my lemon. Okay, so we'll just squeeze a little bit of lemon in there so we have that for flavoring later. Realize that a lot of the sauces that you see in restaurants are just named after their flavorings. So now, if I put chives in this Hollandaise sauce, for example, I can call it chive Hollandaise, or you might want to put garlic in it, or can you think of some other things that might be great for Hollandaise?
I don't know what else you'd put in it.
All right, can you see here how the liquid is almost totally gone now? So we're just going to leave it on high heat. And whenever you're evaporating a liquid like this, you always want to keep an eye on it, especially toward the end, because the more reduced it gets, the faster it goes. So it's starting to even brown up just a little bit, and the shallots are almost dry. We want them completely dry. Here I have a double boiler going on. That means I have a big pot underneath and I have water in it that doesn't touch the bottom of the pan. And then my top pot has nothing in it. This is called a double boiler with the water boiling underneath it. And it's great to use for melting chocolate or things that are a little bit mild, things that are a little bit tender that burn easily. If you put them in a double boiler, it really helps out. Okay, I'll just grab a spatula back here and take out this middle part. Because it's got a little brown around the edges, I don't really want to use that. I just want to use this middle part for flavoring. And I'll leave my burner on, grab a towel. Actually, that's a wet towel, which will really transfer the heat. So I want to bring this pot back here over the heat. I'll bring it to boiling. You can see it's boiling already. And then this is warm because it was sitting on top of the heat. I'll go ahead and put my egg yolks right inside into this warm pan. And then I want to start whisking right away. And I'll turn the heat off here now once it starts to boil so that will cool down a little bit and not be too hot. Okay, this is stirring, this is whisking. Whisking is back and forth and getting it through the tines. Now I want to put these egg yolks back over the heat and let them heat. Put them over the heat and let them heat. That was profound. Okay, so back and forth, whisking, whisking. And I'm whisking these probably for just a minute or two until the color changes. And the color will get really thick. And you'll see a marked difference between the color that it was when it started and the new color. It's kind of creamier looking, okay? Right. And because it's overheat, I want to keep whisking so that my eggs don't scramble, because scrambled eggs, this is one of the secrets. If you get scrambled eggs at this point, you may as well just throw it out and start over, because you're not going to get a really beautiful creamy Hollandaise sauce. Now I can see here that my white peppers were a little dark. So if I didn't want that to be in my finished sauce, what I would do is just strain it. Right. Strain it out, and then you'll have a real creamy sauce. But I don't care. I like to see lots of texture and different things. But if I were making this for somebody who cared about that, I would definitely make a difference. Okay, I'm going to turn this heat back on. Whoops, wrong burner. Just for a second to get this back to boiling so that my eggs will cook just a little bit faster. Can you see how the color is changing?
Do you have to work at pace? You have to keep going. You can't stop and have a cup of tea, or you've got to keep going.
Stop and have a cup of tea.
Curdle.
That's a really good point that you're making. You absolutely can't stop. Once you start making Hollandaise, you have to finish it. And along that line, you really can't make it ahead. See how it's starting to get thicker? Keep whisking, whisking, whisking. I don't want it to, that was stirring, but this is whisking. Okay, now it's really thick. And see how turn my water off again. See how it's starting to kind of hold together just a little bit. Now I know that it's time to start mixing in the butter. This is really hot butter, again, so I need to put it in very slowly and carefully. Just like if you've ever made mayonnaise, this is the same thing. This is called an emulsion. An emulsion is when you have two things that wouldn't normally mix together.
So the acid and the alkaline.
Exactly. So that's why we have to add it slowly. It's just a little bit at a time. And make sure you whisk it all in. See how beautifully this is coming together? One of the secrets is take it off the heat when you do this. And as you go, you can just add it, put it back on a little bit at a time to keep it warm. Because one thing you have to do with Hollandaise is keep it warm. So you really can't make it more than an hour ahead of the time you actually want to serve it.
So you couldn't reheat it if you made it?
No. You know, oops. I have successfully reheated it just by setting it in boiling water for immediate service to your family only. Because, you know, chances are it will break. But another secret that I'd like to pass on to you is one way to keep it warm for that hour while you're waiting for your dinner is to put it in some kind of pretty thermos. And then you can take it right to the table and serve it right in that thermos. So this is all there is to it. I just have to keep whisking and thinning this out. You can see how very, very thick this is. And I'll just keep whisking and adding a little bit at a time. So these 6 egg yolks should take the whole pound of butter. And I'll keep whisking until the butter is all in there and or it gets to the consistency that I want to serve it. Try and keep it down off the sides so that it all mixes in perfectly. Okay, so we're just continuing to whisk over the heat until it starts to get really, really thick, and now it starts to look like mayonnaise. Can you see that?
Yes.
And that's really the consistency that I want. This particular time I didn't get the whole pound of butter in here, just maybe about 2/3 of it. So you really have to go by when it starts to look right to stop putting the butter in. Okay, and again, I'm scraping down the sides to make sure that it all gets whisked in there evenly. And you can see how it's starting to thicken up now. Oh, I already turned my heat off. Okay, now what I've got here is a beautiful, perfect Hollandaise sauce. All that's left is to flavor it. So I can put just a little bit of this lemon juice in so I get that nice lemon perky flavor. Remember, there are 2 things that kick up flavor, and they are
salt and lemon.
Salt and lemon, right? So we'll put both. We'll put just a little bit of salt. You don't have to add salt if you don't want to. And then I'll add a little more of the white pepper. Again, white pepper because the black pepper doesn't look so good in a light sauce. And then all of those, I think I said this before, I can't remember, but often you'll see on restaurant menus different kinds of Hollandaise sauce. They're made just like this, but then they're flavored differently. Like what I would like to do today is to put in some of my new garden chives. And what I'll do is just take a pair of scissors and snip those in. And now I can say I have lemon chive Hollandaise sauce. And that's all there is to it. So what do you think? Does it look easy or hard? Or
well, I think you just have to be very patient to do this, and you make it look easy, of course.
I'll fish out that big piece of chive that fell in there. That's the problem with snipping it right into the sauce. Sometimes pieces fall.
I think I have the confidence to have a go now and try again.
All right, good. So there will be Hollandaise sauce at the Rook household tomorrow. Be there or be square. And I'll just show you in my little gravy boat here how nicely that turned out. There you go. You've got some beautiful Hollandaise to pour on your eggs Benedict. And again, if you want to keep it an hour or so before you serve it, then put it into a little thermos and just serve it. You can even serve it right out of the thermos if you have a pretty one like that. So, any other questions?
Just one question. You put lemon in at the very end and it didn't curdle.
Right, because the eggs are cooked.
Okay.
So I put just a little bit of lemon for flavor.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
You could put lemon zest, lime zest, a little bit of lime juice, whatever you want.
And it's safe to do that at that point?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So use your imagination and come up with your own concoction of Hollandaise sauce. I'm Chef Lynn, and this is the Flavor Secrets Kitchen.